World Liberty Financial is like the garbage got into your living room. And now it's just there. It's like, oh yeah, we have a gold paper written by the president's sons, and the biggest holder is Justin's son, and we're buying back the token even though we have no revenue. And it's just like, why is this here? Why are you doing this to me? Leave me alone.
Not a dividend.
It's a tale of two Kwan.
Now your losses are on someone else's balance sheet.
Generally speaking, airdrops are kind of pointless anyways.
Unnamed trading firms who are very involved.
Alec.eth is the ultimate Ponzi.
DeFi protocols are the antidote to this problem.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chopping Block. Every couple of weeks, the four of us get together and give the industry insider's perspective on the crypto topics of the day. So quick intros. First, you got Tom, the DeFi maven and master of memes.
Hello, everyone.
Next, we've got Robert, the crypto connoisseur and czar of Superstate.
Good afternoon.
Robert, well done sidling in. Just under notice.
Perfect
Robert
timing.
was super late, but you would never have known if it wasn't for me calling this out right now. Next, we've got Tarun, the Giga Brain and Grand Poobah of Gauntlet.
You.
And I'm Haseeb, the head hype man at Dragonfly. We're early stage investors in crypto, and I want to caveat that nothing we say here is investment advice, legal advice, or even life advice. Please see choppingblock.xyz for more disclosures. So, Robert, I assume you were late because you were so engrossed with what's happening with World Liberty Financial. Did you end up getting your stake in the president's DeFi project?
I was not engrossed in World Liberty Financial, unfortunately. I was late because I had a call that ran very long. I don't have a bag. I have yet to participate in the new World Liberty Financial Order. And I'm curious to see which of us do.
Tarun,
What am I being liberated from by being?
Do you have any
part of
bags?
World Liberty?
Do you have any
TradFi.
bags in
TradFi.
World Liberty?
I am bagless. I am
Bagless.
bagless, and I saw all these tweets. But I couldn't tell if they were fake or just trying to game these Kaito-like things. But they were just like, I'm under 20 and I'm a millionaire thanks to World Liberty Financial. And I was like, that's exactly why I did not own it.
Wow. We're just too old. Tom, you got anything?
I have some Trump NFT trading cards. That's about the best I can do.
They didn't
Remember
get an
those?
airdrop?
That's an uncorrelated asset, Tom.
Maybe
That's
they did.
the Polygon
Yeah, no.
ones?
Yeah, they are on Polygon. One of the great BD successes from the last cycle.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's
well,
like the
so-
millennial Trump coin. Millennial
That's
family
true.
Trump coin.
That's true. That's true. That's how you show your age. It's like, no, I got the back in the day. You kids don't know.
I got the OG Trump.
That's
You have
right.
that new
That's right.
coin.
Before, there was a time when Trump wasn't president. We'll be saying that in the year 2050. Is that, there was a time when Trump wasn't president.
When he's
So
on his
anyway,
third
World Liberty-
body,
That's right. He's
When Peter
cryogenically
Thiel
preserved, and
gives him the science.
there's like an interface that we use to communicate with Trump, and he's still president. Anyway,
That's what the coin is for. The coin lets you communicate with his brain in the jar.
that's how you get access to ask the president questions. Great. So World Liberty Financial debuted on Binance, OKX, Bybit, and BitGet yesterday. When you're reading/hearing this, it'll be Labor Day. So it came out at a $22 billion fully diluted valuation with a $6 billion circulating market cap. That makes it number 33 on the leaderboard. It is worth more than the Trump meme coin, worth more than the Trump meme coin has ever been worth. Now, the price on the initial day of trading fell about 34% to about 21 cents from a high of 32 cents, settling now around 23 cents. There's been a huge amount of trading volume, $2.5 billion traded since launch. And supposedly now the circulating supply is 27 billion out of 100 billion total tokens. So 27 billion circulating. Now, I've seen a lot of question marks around how much is truly circulating, who is it circulating with. Apparently, supposedly, initially, supposed to be much less that was circulating. Now it's claimed to be 27 billion. So there's a lot of confusion about where all these tokens from and exactly which tokens are circulating to get this high of a float. Now, it's important to understand a lot of craziness happened around the time of the launch. So first of all, we saw gas prices on chain just explode to over 100 gwei. You saw swap prices go into the $100 around the time that the token, all the launches, all the claims and the initial trading took place. And there's been a lot of criticism of the overall project. So one thing that you've seen is that now this thing has substantially inflated the total nominal wealth of the Trump campaign, of the Trump team. So Trump family ostensibly now owns over $5 billion in crypto wealth. $5.6 billion, which is worth more than all of their real estate holdings. Huge amount of that is now attributed to just World Liberty Financial, of which the Trump family has about 22% of the entire World Liberty Financial supply, as well as 75% of all the pre-sale. So the pre-sale, which they sold hundreds of millions of dollars in the pre-sale, 75% of all that cash goes straight to the Trump family, which is about $440 million of cold hard cash. Now, of course, Trump is the co-founder emeritus of World Liberty Financial, and his sons are co-founders. And of course, instead of a white paper, they have a gold paper. Now, another interesting wrinkle of this is that originally World Liberty Financial, of course, you guys might remember, was framed as an Aave fork. And now, of course, they have USD1, which is a stablecoin, and that seems to be the main story of why World Liberty Financial is valuable. However, initially, they promised that 7% of the World Liberty Financial supply, as well as 20% of its fees, were going to go to Aave as part of the initial partnership. Well, now, ostensibly, because World Liberty Financial has come out at such a high price, Aave's share of this would be worth about $2 billion. But World Liberty Financial, about a week ago, denied that they had ever made this deal. Now, this deal had been proposed originally in the governance forum, and then it was ratified in World Liberty Financial's governance forum. But then the World Liberty Financial team came out last week to say that this was fake news, which Stani apparently is disputing. So there's now some kind of dispute, which unclear exactly how this gets resolved or what the legal status.
Claros Court. That's where you take it.
We're going to Claros
Aragon Court. Aragon Court, baby. Forget about
unclear
Claros.
how these things get adjudicated or what the legal status of something like this is. Unclear, but there's a lot of money at stake on whether or not Aave is going to get.
I don't think there is any legal status. First off, that's the first answer.
Well, this does go to the heart of DAOs, okay, and
yeah.
Governance tokens, and this
but this
raise...
is a snapshot. This is snapshot even for one side.
There are binding verbal contracts. That is totally a thing. So if they engage in what a judge would determine as a verbal contract, then they could totally enforce this. I have no idea how enforceable it is, though.
Does Aave not have BSL? Like, I would assume they also have something in like their terms of the code use.
Well, so my understanding is that World Liberty Financial does not have a product yet. There's no app. There's no actual thing that you can do. There's USD1.
They haven't forked anything yet.
Yeah, they haven't forked anything yet. So, I mean, they could argue like, well, we decided not to do the Aave fork, and that's why we're not paying. I don't know. Very unclear how all of this works. Justin Sun today is World Liberty Financial's largest backer, holds more than 3% of the circulating supply. And so the last thing, so when the token launched, of course, the token price immediately went down because a lot of the initial airdrop recipients, not airdrop, the sale recipients sold their tokens. Of course, unsurprising, it was like a 20x from the initial crowd sale price. So you had a bunch of people selling. Seemingly, the team probably panicked in response to this and decided they were going to start buying back the token, which they previously had not said that they were going to do. Now, there's no proceeds from which to buy back the token. So they said that they were going to buy back the token using the basically the liquidity, like the fees that they had on chain. And so they used a $3 million slug to immediately buy back the token, which seemingly did not actually come from the liquidity, but just came from some of their own money. So they started buying back the token, which caused the price to immediately rally. So now there's the teams buying back the token, despite the fact that they don't really have sustainable sources of on-chain revenue. But this token, top 30 token, presidential project. Okay, where are we, guys? Where is this in the overall meta of crypto that we now have top 30 stablecoin / Aave fork that now is worth more than any DeFi project in existence?
Bored apes of this cycle.
Speculative asset of the cycle.
Tarun's is totally uninterested. There's a brand new top 30 token, and the man doesn't care at all.
It just feels like Bored Apes to me, where it's like it's like a kind of thing that exists to get made fun of, and like, great, I'm too bored to I feel like I've been in crypto too long. I'm too jaded by these kind of things that there's no real substance behind that have high valuations.
That's what a guy with no bag would say.
Yeah. So okay, let's break it down. Tarun, I want you to break it down for me.
Sure.
What parts? Let's do like a sum of parts analysis. What are the parts of this business that you feel like don't have any substance, and which ones do you think might have substance, or is it all substanceless?
Okay, so
because there's the Aave side.
USD1 is interesting in one way. in that it
What
was
makes it
used
interesting?
for a multi-billion-dollar investment into Binance.
Yep.
So like it started off with a hot streak.
It is. They did announce that it's the fastest growing stablecoin in history,
Of
which is
course.
true over that 1 week period. It was the
Yeah.
fastest growing stablecoin in history.
Look. AI companies think that they can annualize their one day. That's their best day of revenue. They just take that and multiply by 365 and then like raise money on that. Crypto is one-upping them with this. But I think like a USD1 makes way more sense than trying to be a DeFi fork. Like, remember when we first talked about it on the show and we're like, why is World Liberty like trying to run a protocol? Because like this doesn't seem to make sense. Like you're basically a meme coin, so like do something simpler. Like I feel like there's kind of this interesting thing in crypto where things that are real products that launch a token have much more trouble becoming like memetic, and things that are meme coins always have this like death spiral where they just have to do buybacks until they try to for as long as possible until they can figure out what to make a product with it. With kind of like the Yuga Labs stuff, like they released all these tokens and it was like down only, and they were like, okay, we have to make these last long enough for our game to survive. And so like I kind of feel like there's this kind of question of like, are these just two sets that can never be reached from one another, like the like real product, but the token is just like priced on revenue multiples, and like meme coin, no product, only buybacks, eventually spirals. They try to bolt on a product, be a SPAC, acquire some IP, some nonsense. Like last cycle's thing was IP. Obviously, maybe
Well, they did run a DAT. So Alt 5 Sigma, I believe, is the DAT that just acquires World Liberty Financial, and they raised 750, I think.
Great. I guess like my point is like it really feels a little bit like Yuga to me, where it's like instead of IP, it's like rights to talk to Eric Trump in question mark. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it does. I feel like everything about this was almost like engineered to like break journalists' brains. I'm so tired of having journalists hit me up wanting to talk about World Liberty, like ask about World Liberty, but it just feels like they just keep stacking on the offenses, and it's like everything that you have in terms of like a caricature of like the Trump family, like this is it, it's like, okay, the opaque supply and the buybacks and the DAT and the self-dealing, and it's like what is actually going on here? And I find that actually to be like almost more amusing, that it's like they just, it's like, like the aristocrats, it's like the joke, and this is like the aristocrats of crypto. It's like, what more can we stack on this to like really offend even more people, or like live up to this person that people think they are?
I think in the current world, I'm post offended. I don't even think I even get offended. I just don't care anymore.
What could they do to offend Tarun? That's the real question, because that is the next innovation.
That's the last thing to stack. It's like the final boss in the video game.
Right. The hair that breaks the camel's back. That's the thing I want to see. I want to see the thing.
How about for everyone here? What is the thing that they could do? Like, I'm kind of curious for everyone.
I think the thing they do is they claim that they solved MEV. I feel like that'd be like the last thing that would just kill Tarun.
No.
Yeah.
I think they have to launch an L1.
Launch an L1?
No. Actually, I think one thing that would be funny but offensive is that they buy Story Protocol. Like, they're like, we need an L1. We're just going to do a M&A and buy out all the Story Protocol token holders with World Liberty.
Story Protocol is pretty expensive at this point. I think that
but they can still afford it. They can still afford it.
They could afford it. They could afford it. I feel like if they acquired like Hashgraph or something, that would actually be pretty sick. Or like IOTA, just like go last cycle and like just go really deep. Or like Dash.
The thing about Story is like the mid-curve 30 IQ narrative of this IP thing, which like, I don't know, we can talk about in a different era of like, what does IP on the blockchain ever going to mean? But that thing is like something where I've observed people who have never bought a crypto asset before are like, IP, I know that has value, I'm going to buy it. And I feel like that's a perfect brand for World Liberty Financial to own, right? The ticker IP.
Yeah. So there was this piece in Blockworks that I really liked that talked about the garbage moat of crypto, which it sort of describes, it sort of paints this picture that like when you're in crypto, you constantly see this like, you know how people talk about there's this like ring of plastic garbage like in the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. That's kind of just like there's like this big thing in crypto of just like garbage that's just floating out there that we all kind of ignore. We all know it's there of like you see shitty low rent projects that are constantly out there just, scalping retail. And occasionally like they bump up against your feet and you can like feel, oh, like some trash has touched me. Ew. And you're like, okay, I'm in a weird website. I'm on like cryptopotato.com or whatever, one of these places where like that's where this stuff congregates. Or like I see some weird KOL who has like 300,000 followers and I don't know any of them. And just like, okay, I'm in the trash heap of crypto. I'm in like that part.
The banana zone.
Yeah, and then like at a certain point, like the garbage gets into your living room, and you can like, wait, I'm in my kitchen, and like I can feel the garbage against my feet. That's World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial is like the garbage got into your living room, and now it's just there. It's like, oh yeah, we have a gold paper written by the president's sons, and the biggest holder is Justin Sun, and like we're buying back the token even though we have no revenue, and it's just like, why is this here? Why are you doing this to me? Like, leave me alone. So that's largely been my feeling seeing World Liberty Financial is that like when you read the comments, they're all negative. Like every comment, like I was going through their tweets and they're doing it all on Twitter. All the comments are negative. Everybody hates this, but people are buying it anyway because there's like, oh, it's the president's coin. Like, it'll go up. And then of course, a lot of people who are just not crypto people are buying the token because it's like, oh, the president and DeFi, and they keep talking about this. And it also has to be that there's no way this is the real float. Like I refuse to believe that they have not picked up the tricks of the many predecessors in crypto. Like, they're following in the footsteps of great projects before them that have lied about their floats. There's no way that 24% of the supply is floating. Like I refuse to believe that, because especially when they said originally that was gonna be 5% floating, and now how exactly is 24% out there? So yeah, all of it just seems very, very, to Tom's point, it's all very tedious. I feel quite exhausted by just how painful it is to see all this stuff. So, but to your point, I think we're all going to be asked lots and lots of questions about World Liberty Financial in every podcast we ever go on.
You think this is going to be the Thanksgiving conversation of crypto this year instead of like prior years where it was like, oh my God, did you see Bitcoin is like close to 100K? You think this year is the World Liberty?
This year is when the grandparents are like, son, you've been talking about crypto for 10 years and all your stuff has been a scam, but we found the best coin that we made money on, World Liberty Financial.
Finally, the president is on board with your bullshit industry. Here's how you know you made it real.
Well, if it goes up and everyone makes money, no one's going to complain about it.
I'm sure it will only go up. There's no way this thing could ever go down. I believe, by the way, the top two holders own something like 40% of World Liberty Financial. And what is it? There was some number of like the amount held by insiders. It was a lot. This thing, I'm sure it'll go up. It looks like a very good token. So anyway, yeah, like not financial advice. I don't know. I mean, maybe look. Let's take a step back and let's also.
Haseeb is giving financial advice about whether to long or short.
I will say, let's celebrate the fact that they now feel like they have to build an actual project. I feel like that's progress relative to the Trump meme coin. Is that, if that was, to Tarun's point, if we thought that was the first and second tower of, Trump coin and Melania coin, I feel like this is the Iraq war. This is like the war on terror. This is like, okay, this is a much bigger, grander scale legacy that they're trying to build. And on some level, I support that. I feel like, okay, they're trying to actually do something about it.
Are the WMDs promises to DAOs done in snapshot?
the WMDs were the Aave governance proposals. Those are the WMDs. Anyway, all right. So now, in response to this, politics. This has been a week awash with politics. In response, in part to this, we have presidential hopeful Gavin Newsom announcing that he is going to launch his own meme coin in response to the Trump meme coins. He was on an interview with Kara Swisher, and he claimed that he was going to launch his own coin called the Trump Corruption Coin. And Polymarket is now pricing 36% chance that he actually launches the meme coin. Any thoughts on Gavin launching his own meme coin, Robert?
I would not buy that.
You would not buy it.
This is investment advice. Don't buy that coin.
Don't buy the Trump Corruption Coin?
I can't think of a stupider coin to launch.
No. He's saying don't buy the
the Gavin Newsom coin.
I know. I don't think that will be a good financial investment for the people that buy that. And I think the odds of him actually launching it are close to zero. I think he was trying to call attention to what he perceives as
He did launch the merch store. So that, and apparently they're like making a lot of money from it. They're selling out like hotcakes.
All right. You know what? I would love for entertainment value alone to see Gavin launch a coin and to see how it's received by the world. I would love to see this. I think it'll be amazing fodder for a future episode of the Chopping Block. So Gavin, if you or your staff are listening, pull the trigger.
We will bring you on to talk about your meme coin.
I would love to have Gavin
We'll
on.
bring you on the Chopping Block to pump your meme coin.
It does need a better name, though. Trump Corruption Coin. I liked actually all the fake Gavin coins that were being launched on Pump today.
Wait, I have it. It has to be called G Money or G Coin.
We can workshop it a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll
work on it. We'll work on it.
We got
that one had a little hello fellow kids energy.
yeah,
I think that's what this coin will be.
I guess that's fair. Maybe that demographic is.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff on Pump called New Scum, so I feel like that might end up being.
I mean, I just don't get it because I'm like, the 4chan Pump.fun demographic is like never gonna buy it. So it's like, who is like the buyer? Like, I just don't.
I think the news cycle just creates the buyers. Like, as long as it's in the news and he can keep it there, then people will show up to buy it. But I agree. I don't think Gavin has like a raging fan club the way that Trump does. Maybe he's getting it now, but it doesn't feel obsessive. It feels more like
Well, I think the difference is like Democrats' policies of like trying to not talk about money or like not like basically make them do much worse in merch sales. Like I saw some study that was like a study of Democrats over the last 10 years versus Republicans in terms of like political contributions from sales of items versus political contributions from donations, and the Democrats like just like significantly lower. Like they just people don't buy their items, whereas for Republicans it's like all about like the like branded shit. And so there is something to the fact that a meme coin is like the ultimate version of the like buy my branded stuff that does nothing for you, right? It's like it's kind of and like it's sort of, I just don't see, if Democratic voters don't buy hats, do you think they're going to buy the meme coin? Like that's kind of what I
think the problem is it's hard to be second. You know, it's the man has sort of opened the window or been the first mover for a lot of these things, and then it's like you follow up and you're like, I'm also having the hat, I'm also doing the coin, and it's like it's very like transparent that like, you know, this is what you're doing. And I think, like you said, you need to kind of like look one step ahead, and it's like what would you do next instead of actually like launching a coin today? And I don't know what that answer is.
Newsom is doing it obviously as a parody, right? So he's calling out Trump and all these things where he's like selling Bibles. Obviously no Democrat is selling Bibles, but like he apparently sold a shitload of these Bibles that are like Gavin Newsom branded Bibles. Yeah, really? Yeah, they're like Gavin Newsom branded Bibles. And like it's obviously a joke, right? Like it's not, nobody who's supporting Gavin Newsom is into buying Bibles, but it's working. It's creating clicks. It's getting headlines. It's like a funny thing. It's like, Gavin Newsom Bible. Isn't that hilarious?
It just feels very like forced, right? It's clearly like some staffer or some comms person was like, this would be a funny thing to do, but it's clearly like not in Gavin's nature to be doing this. I mean, he's had however many years to do something like this, and he hasn't. And you're right that like in the short term, you're getting this, but I do wonder if like what would like Zoran do, right? Like Zoran actually, I think, did something fresh in politics, independent of how you perceive him. And like, I feel like he would actually do something interesting in crypto. I don't know what, but like, I feel like that would actually be the move.
The Zoran meme coin would, I think, do better. I agree with you.
That would crush.
For sure.
That would crush.
Or like it wouldn't.
AOC would crush though.
No. Yeah, it has to be someone like younger and newer. Like I guess AOC is like similar age, but she's like been around for a while.
Yeah,
It needs to be someone fresh, I feel like.
Yeah, interesting.
Tarun, you're fresh.
I was just talking about how I'm too old. I'm post being shocked.
I love the way you guys gas each other up. Tarun, you're fresh, you're young, you're the face of crypto. You get out there. You got this, man. You're a great podcaster. You're a great podcaster.
You're the best. Yeah.
Okay, what would Duran sell? This is a good question. I don't think it would be
In
a
crypto?
meme coin. Yeah. Like what? Let's brainstorm. Imagine you're his PR firm.
Public goods fund. It's some quadratic voting.
Oh, yeah. It would be
Yeah.
It's a
Quadratic
UBI thing.
voting.
Oh no,
you know how,
it'd be
like,
one of these things where like everybody in the world gets an airdrop, and like they've all failed. Like none of them work, but it's like every single time people love this idea.
Yeah, it would be like
WorldCoin for
without the
Astoria.
scam. Yeah.
Yeah,
It would be
yeah.
WorldCoin that you
WorldCoin for-
mail in a vote and you get your coin.
That
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 could work.
works. That works.
I actually think like what is Cuomo going after him for like somehow his apartment is rent stabilized and he doesn't need to live in the rent stabilized apartment or something. I feel like you have to design some quadratic voting token around that so that Cuomo can't make up shit.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, speaking of regulations, so we got some big news, some big prints on chain, specifically GDP prints. So the U.S. Department of Commerce has recently announced that it is now going to be posting GDP prints on chain. Now, which chains? There's 9 chains that they're posting it on: Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Tron, Avalanche, Polygon, ZK Sync, Optimism, Arbitrum, Stellar, using Chainlink and Pyth. Apparently, they got some help from Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken. I guess because Department of Commerce doesn't know how to use an RPC. I don't know. Apparently, they did not use Cardano, and Cardano people are very upset about this. But other than that, they are going to be expanding this beyond just GDP to also post PCE and real final sales. According to Secretary Lutnick, we are making America's economic truth immutable and globally accessible by like never before, cementing our role as the blockchain capital of the world. What do you guys think? GDP prints on chain, reactions?
What problem does this solve? Like, I love that this is happening because it shows that you have bureaucrats somewhere in the Commerce Department using blockchains, which is good. It means there's more people testing a technology, working with partners to do this. It's awesome. But like, I don't think anyone asked for this. I don't think like anyone's like, man, I don't know what GDP is. If only there was like 8 different immutable records of what GDP was. So like,
Also, if you post it on 8 blockchains, what if they disagree? Which one? Like which?
no, it's the same
which
Oracle.
blockchain?
It's the same Oracle posting on all the chains.
Oh, I see. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I will say the one kind of trivia that I think is funny about this is the type of person who really wanted GDP on the blockchain in 2017 was exactly the opposite of like Trump. So it's like kind of funny to me because like in the 2017 ICO boom, there were all these like CPI pegged stablecoins that people were trying to like Celo started that way, right? Like they were like, instead of being $1, we're going to be CPI pegged. And actually, if you have all these, if the BLSs of everywhere in the world posted this, you could actually, and they were actually going to have oracles where they like posted this to their chain to like compute their CPI index. So it's like, there is something actually kind of funny about this in that 2 cycles ago, it was like the like leftist crypto side that really loved this. And like now it's like, you know, like the political spectrum is a circle.
You know, I totally forgot about that. I remember Basis once upon a time said that they were going to eventually shift to CPI.
That's the best use case I can come up with for this. The GDP.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
we were asking what
nobody wants to do
project.
that.
We were asking what project World Liberty could build to make Tarun actually implode. I found it.
Honestly,
Oh, boy.
if they pulled that off, I would just say amazing.
That'd be a
performance
great
art.
way to tie all these things together, though. Like,
Performance
that would
art.
actually be
That's
really
like-
elegant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just take the money in World Liberty that they have as backing and replace it with Basis. I feel like that's done. Brilliant business move. What's also, thinking back about this, like the idea of pegging something to PCI, or sorry, to CPI, which comes out once a month, right? So like every month there would be like this very sudden move where all of a sudden like the Oracle price just jumps to the new CPI level. Just seems like a horrible design for a coin.
I
You know,
mean,
like, seems like, why would you wanna do
all
that?
of these things would have blown up in COVID, basically.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when CPI was hitting like 10%, like these things would have all exploded. So yeah, that in retrospect, like that sounded like such a good idea in 2017. In retrospect, like what a terrible idea. Absolutely do not peg anything to
But
CPI.
I was just trying to think of like, when does someone want this type of data on the blockchain?
Yeah,
If
even
this is
on
the best use
Polymarket,
case,
people
I
don't
could-
bet on GDP prints. People don't bet on CPI. They bet on
Well,
interest
don't they
rates.
bet on the Fed cut though?
Yeah, they bet on Fed cuts,
yeah.
but like there's
Okay.
also an external oracle for that, which is like go look on the CME and you can like see the interest rate futures, right? Like nobody's directly betting on these things, so it does feel, to Robert's point, like why this?
Hey,
who wants this?
Look, for the record, that is obviously the null hypothesis. Like, there's no reason you should want this. I was just trying to present some alternative hypotheses that one could really stretch the imagination and hope could be useful.
Here's what I think Lutnick should have announced in addition to this, because I actually, speaking solely as somebody who loves crypto and loves app development and loves all the things you can do with it, I think they should have announced in parallel to this, there's also like an X Prize like thing for whoever uses this data in the most interesting way, or the most important way, or the most valuable way. If they actually challenged America to use this data on the blockchain, and the winner, I don't know, gets a tour of the White House and gets to like take a photo with Trump or whatever it is. If they actually challenged America to use this data and do something with it and show off what's possible on chain, then I would be impressed. And actually,
Man, imagine what people could do if they had access to GDP numbers.
Well, I don't know. We're not that creative,
incredible.
Haseeb. We're not that creative. But if you let any American get creative, I actually think there might be something cool.
I think there's one application you can build with this, and it's called GDP Bet. And I think it would have been sick if they built it themselves. That would have been sick. If they like launched this alongside GDP Bet and they just like threw it on chain.
I mean, a very funny but random use case that I guess there is. I mean, this is not particular to the GDP data, but there was this like contest for in 2018, 2017 for like a NIST, like National Institute for Science and Technology, like that sets the standards for like figuring out how to generate the world's best seed entropy for like a random number generator. And like they tried a bunch of different sources, like closing stock prices, like the last 10 bits of like of a bunch of stocks. And then they used some like aeronautical stuff, like basically measurements from the National Weather Service. Like they had to use public data, and they tried all of them, and like basically the stock price one, the closing price was like the most random seed you could get from nature effectively. But I kind of wonder if the GDP prints are like equally random, especially nowadays that like the trailing bits are random enough, especially when they have this
just
like
2 significant digits.
Isn't like 3.2?
Well, actually, you're right. What they're posting on chain, I was thinking more about the stuff where like jobs numbers and whatever with like revisions.
Don't they round into the thousands?
Yeah, now that they fired the BLS head, I don't know that I would trust the significant digits of. All
right,
of
I'm trying real hard to find something useful.
Yeah, we're trying our best. We're trying our best to win this competition. Yeah.
The GDP on-chain X Prize, is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what we're calling it.
You know, actually does remind me. Remember Trueflation?
Yes.
I feel like this was like, oh, you kind of remember Trueflation, but it was like a dream, and it was like several years later, and now you're like, we should do something with the blockchain and CPI. I don't know what exactly, but like,
the only commonality to Trueflation and this thing is, as always, Justin Sun. Because I feel like Trueflation, didn't he end up buying that team? There was like the whole True USD bailout thing, whatever. Weren't they the same team?
I don't know.
Right, he bought Trust Token. You can edit that. Was that same team?
You can.
I think it's a different team.
Comment. Yeah. All right. Then edit my comment.
We'll edit that out. Or maybe not.
You know what? We're keeping it in just to keep the record. We're gonna put it on the blockchain. We're gonna post it using Chainlink on 9 blockchains, so nobody will ever forget.
Wait, yeah. So when are we posting the podcast on the blockchain, Haseeb? It seems like now. Once you get GDP, you
actually, I was asked for us to post the chopping block on Zora as content and donate the money to charity or something, but we could put the chopping block on the blockchain.
I'm down. I've
chopping blockchain.
No.
Wait, if you post it on Zora, like, do they actually host the like the files?
File?
Or
I think so.
Pointers?
Yeah. I think
they do. Okay.
Yeah, we could post this to Zora, and any of the coin that gets made or whatever, we all give it to Coin Center or something useful, and the world wins.
Let's do it. Okay.
Done.
Great.
Thank
All
you,
right, so we're
MEV
posting-
snipers, for funding Coin Center in this very indirect manner.
Yeah. Don't. Watch out before you actually buy this content coin, because we understand it's a dark forest out there. So stay safe. But if you do, then you'll be supporting Coin Center and all the great work that they do. So excellent. So another piece of news I thought was quite interesting on the regulatory side: CFTC is reviving the FBOT, Foreign Board of Trade registration path for overseas exchanges. So the announcement was, I think, a little bit mangled by a lot of reporters who claim that this was Binance and Bybit and whatever can now come back into the U.S. market. It's not quite what it means. What it does mean is that, according to Carolyn Pham, CFTC interim head, the CFTC has opened up U.S. markets to the rest of the world. Firms now have a path back after being driven offshore by regulation, by enforcement. This means that you can apply under FBOT rules to be CFTC licensed and offer derivatives and other asset classes to Americans, but you have to undergo pretty strict CFTC oversight, market surveillance, all this other stuff. So it's not a walk in the park, and it's probably not trivial for somebody like Binance or Bybit to do this on day one, but possible that they could decide to accept this regulatory regime and open themselves back up to the U.S. market. So thoughts? Is this good? Is this bad? Does this mean the end of Coinbase / Robinhood? What are you guys' thoughts on CFTC opening up the U.S. market to foreign exchanges?
Well, I think there might be some confusion here. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. I haven't actually read through this too much, but I just heard, on Twitter that this might have been misinterpreted a bit. And again, I have not looked at the actual guidance, et cetera. But one of the opinions that I saw was different, was that specifically what they were saying was that US businesses could be re-onshored. And that the goal was, instead of activity moving offshore, the inverse, in that you could start a business in the US with all of this activity, and it could be sold to US persons and offshore persons. And that this would actually be a huge benefit to businesses built in the US or that want to reshore user activity. So I'm not really sure how this works in practice, but I just saw a lot of conflicting and different opinions on what the actual impact of this was and what the wording and ruling really included.
So my understanding is that FBOT applies to exchanges like Eurex or, I think for something like LMAX or something like that, it's relatively straightforward for them to get this designation, the FBOT designation, but it's not something you can easily get out of the box, but doesn't require you to be domiciled in the US, is my understanding. But it does require you to expose your trading surveillance stuff to US regulators so that CFTC can pull records anytime they want if they want to do an investigation or whatever.
That makes sense then. So you have to onshore to US regulation, and US and ex-US businesses can do that by submitting to US jurisdiction.
That's right. So again, is this something that Binance is going to do out of the box? Probably not, but it's certainly possible. I'm really curious to see if you get these moves, because right now almost all of them are using US subsidiaries that are cordoned off from the global exchanges, right? So Binance US recently came back to the US market, is now offering trading competition or trading incentives and so on. I think OKX is doing the same thing. So there does seem to be an interest in a lot of the overseas exchanges to reestablish a US footprint, because they just see how big the US market is becoming. But so far, it's been very difficult for them to get that foothold in building these US subsidiaries. This might be a path for them to be able to compete using their global liquidity and just tap into US markets. But it might well be that the people who are trading there, they're like, yeah, I don't want the CFTC to be able to see everything I'm doing, because trading surveillance requires them to be able to say oh, this Chinese guy, this Russian guy is trading on your exchange. We don't like that so much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I see these offshore exchanges trying to reopen. U.S. entities, and OKX announced they have a new office in San Jose, and a lot of rumblings that a lot of these exchanges are looking at going public with their U.S. entities. Obviously, in the U.S., I think the question is is the sum greater than or the whole greater than the sum of its parts? If you have Binance US and Binance.com offshore, is that worse than actually having one sort of global exchange with this sort of surveillance? And I don't know what the math looks like on that or how the exchanges think about that, but it does seem like it would simplify things, all else being equal.
No real opinions, but there was also some other SEC and CFTC news that hit the ticker right before we did this, where they're allowing other exchanges to sell spot crypto, like the
Oh,
CME, like
Spot on CME? What?
or it's maybe not just CME, but like CME and Nasdaq. It was like certain crypto assets are safe for equity and futures exchanges. So it was like just came out. It was like a kind of weird news headline, and so like actually, I'm more curious instead of like trying to dissect the how much that headline was like one commissioner saying something or not. Let's just pretend that's true. That like NYSE, Nasdaq, CME can offer spot Bitcoin.
I saw Atkins retweeted it, so I'm guessing there's some endorsement.
There's clearly something there, but like I don't
Yeah.
know the whole news story, so I just want to. But I'm more interested in like what happened, the consequences of like if they allowed this. Like, are the ETFs dead then? Because like, wouldn't you rather just buy Bitcoin on? Like, I'm just kind of curious. Like, what do you guys think?
I think the ETFs are not dead because probably they just have kind of a liquidity moat, right? Like if you're buying spot Bitcoin on one venue versus another, like what does it take to move it from one venue to another? You know, like that's actually, if you're a traditional hedge fund, it's probably not the kind of thing that you're used to dealing with. Okay, I have to like provide an address from, from NYSE to go move it over to this other exchange over here. My guess is that they'll probably just keep trading the ETF for a while. I mean, the ETF is super low fees, right? So relative to simplicity and the liquidity that it already has, my guess is that the ETF probably just remains entrenched for a while. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's just like, it's something interesting if every exchange can sell every asset all in the same place. Like Coinbase announced they're starting to do stocks today, right? So it's like, what is the end world where everyone can do everything?
Yeah, I mean, the end world where anyone can do anything looks almost like a crypto blockchain with applications on it that are composable and open and anyone could build. I mean, I think at some point this will all get amalgamated and you will have applications that sell every financial product, because at the end of the day, you have a similar user base, you have a similar set of risks, you have a similar everything. And so having these extremely tall walls that separate asset classes based on arbitrary parameters is a little bit outdated and a little bit ridiculous. And so I do think this is where we're headed. And, we may as well rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talked with Vlad about this, about the idea that, both Coinbase and Robinhood are going in the same direction, which is being the everything app. And it does seem to me like, okay, let's say that, Schwab or, Fidelity starts offering you to buy and sell crypto, which I guess Fidelity already does. But let's say every brokerage does, every exchange does. Like what we've seen historically in crypto is that exchanges really want to verticalize. So they offer trading and lending and staking and ICOs and this, whatever, every single product they can possibly come up with, they offer it under the same roof. And this is what financial institutions do: is they start offering more and more products, they cross-sell, they sort of pick up more and more margin through offering auxiliary services. I think, although it's already been true for a while that there are some traditional platforms where you can buy and sell crypto, overwhelmingly people seem to want to buy and sell their crypto through Coinbase or through Robinhood or through a few places. Even when almost everywhere it will offer you to buy and sell crypto, it's not where most people buy and sell their crypto. I don't know why. I wouldn't have predicted that 5 years ago if you'd asked me like, okay, what's going to happen when Vanguard starts supporting crypto or Fidelity starts supporting crypto? My assumption would be like, well, everybody's going to get a piece of the pie. Coinbase is going to suffer, and anybody who has a relationship with a brokerage or with some financial institution, that's where they're going to get their crypto because they don't care where they're getting it from. They just want a trustworthy platform that's going to custody their crypto. Demonstrably, that's not what's happened. Right? People sort of want to do their YOLOing over in Robinhood, and they want to do their safe stuff over in the brokerage account. And they sort of don't have the two elements touch each other. And maybe that's the answer, is that it's sort of like these mental boxes that like all my YOLO degen shit goes over here. And like my safe stuff that, I have, like we have like a family brokerage account, like that's over here. And I don't necessarily want my kids to see like all my fart coin. So
now you got to put the retirement money into the fart coin. That college fund, put that into.
Very important. Very important.
Really, you're sounding like Cliff Asness when you're describing this partition of mind thing, because he always, how he's
right?
like, he's always really going off on this fart coin thing about how people like they need like their gambling budget and they're not gambling budget, and Fartcoin takes up all the gambling. I don't know why Fartcoin, for some reason, people of that age who are like 50 to 60, it like really is the meme coin that like strikes them in the head the most?
It's because they went to high school in like the 70s or 80s or whatever, and they just made a lot of fart jokes then.
Look, farting is a human universal. Everybody, that's the thing. Everybody understands Fartcoin.
Yeah, but I feel like it's like very boomer friendly in a way that's like.
But the thing that defies explanation is like, look, Venmo, you can now buy and sell crypto. PayPal, you can buy and sell crypto. Fidelity, you can buy and sell crypto. But it's not where people are buying and selling crypto, right?
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly, they're doing it through Robinhood and Coinbase.
Yeah.
Like, am I wrong?
True. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But like, I don't know. Like, I personally am an individual who I would like one app that I can do all this stuff, assuming that it was good economic terms. I think the risk is that a business has its core constituency and all the new products, they view as like an added rake, and they're like terrible terms, and they're not as good as the competition. And, you don't get a super app, you get a crypto native thing that starts off and it's like good at crypto, and then everything else is, they're not as good at it. So they charge too much money, or it's weird structures, or who knows. And so I personally would love something where it's good at everything. Do I think any platform or product can be good at everything? No. I think it's going to be clunky as anything, but like maybe 10 years from now, we look back and we laugh at this. We're like, of course you can have one app and you can buy every possible asset in it, from live chickens to crypto tokens to, a stock to a derivative to a banana,
I think like there's an interesting question of like, if every app becomes the every financial product app, let's like ignore the Rappi type of stuff you're talking about, where it's like, yes, I can get cash delivered or chickens delivered to my house. So I'll let those be separate from the financial one. But there's kind of this weird thing where like the stablecoinization of bank accounts, I don't know what else to call it. If that happens, then there's basically very low lock-in to a lot of fintech apps, whereas like right now there's kind of a ton of lock-in to like ACH fronting, right? Like lending you money so that you get money immediately on the platform, processing your ACH, and like because you've done it so many times, they're willing to do it. Like stuff like that kind of disappears when you're holding most things, like a larger percent of society is holding things in stables. And so in that world, the only competitive advantage is like yield and UX. There's like nothing and marketing, I guess. But like it's like you only have three levers. There's not kind of this like I have these systematic lock-in things. And like, does that mean that you converge to like there's only one app, or does that mean you have some
if you're on somebody's ledger, right? Or sorry, you're on somebody's platform, right? They're not necessarily leaving you out on a public ledger, right? They're probably going to have some kind of segregated account, but like the data is not fully public. It's not typically visible where your money is. And to that end, they actually don't want to be able to export your data, your credit, like your reputation on their platform, such that they can extend you credit. But if you go, export your stable coins and go to some other platform, they don't necessarily know your spending history. They don't know how good of a credit risk you are. And so they actually don't want all of that data to be exportable naively. So I think they will still fight to have that lock-in, even if you can export all your cash.
I think the main problem is like, even in a lot of apps, right, they'll like give you fast withdrawal to your main bank account, but not fast withdrawal to other bank accounts because like that's the one they KYC'd or trust or whatever, right? But if everything is becoming more like crypto, it'll be more like using a crypto exchange where it's like I withdraw to wherever I want and you can't really stop me that much, right? And in that world, right, like if everyone's bank starts looking like Coinbase in that way, or like Binance or wherever, then it really does become like, what are the things that make people sticky on crypto exchanges? Like some of it's laziness. Some of it is like,
a lot of it is incentives, right? So like if you're,
Binance, that's what I meant. So it's
VIP
yield and UX are like really the dominant.
No, not just that. But it's like if you're really locked, like let's say you're a huge Binance user, you have really low fees on Binance. You're not just going to go say, well, Bybit offers the same products. I'll just might as well use Bybit, because Bybit doesn't give you the same fee tier because you haven't traded on Bybit for as long, right? So you can you can basically build in that lock-in. Like crypto exchanges are already in the state of nature that you're describing.
But I'm saying really like imagine now that's true for like all these other apps. They're going to have to change a lot. They're not going to look.
Yeah, granted, but they change a lot in the direction of basically looking like crypto exchanges.
Yeah,
right. Now,
but like your bank app will have to look more like Coinbase, right? Which is like a kind of weird thing to think about.
Kind of. But then at the same time, like, look, if I imagine this end state where everything is the everything store, right? I still can't really imagine being like, great, I'm going to move all my ETFs to Coinbase. You know, I just like, for whatever reason, like that just kind of feels weird to me. Like, I feel like I wouldn't trust Coinbase to like.
If only we had Paul Graywall here right now
Like-
to give you a lecture.
Like,
How dare you?
That's the thing is like, I want my ETFs on like a boring platform with like janky 2FA, but like still, but it has 2FA. Like somehow I like trust that more.
I had to use a transfer agent recently. That is
Yeah.
the most ghetto, unsecure thing I've ever used.
That's why Superstate exists, but that's a different episode.
There you go. There you go.
I'm just saying, like, there's so much janky stuff in the equities markets.
Totally. But it's like janky in a way that you got to like call somebody on the phone, you know, and somehow that gives me some confidence.
You somehow
that
feel like
no Russian hackers are taking my ETFs.
I love that you trust DTCC so much with your life. You're just like, they must be the smartest. And it's like, anytime I meet someone from DTCC,
it's kind of
like,
a good security model that like, yeah, no Russians are allowed on DTCC. That's a pretty good security model.
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems very easily hacked and forged. It's a very flimsy security model. Yeah.
I think like there's an obvious sense in which a big cornerstone of security is just like being very low tech. You know, so like, you know, don't let the thing touch the internet. Like use very simple devices, like, you know, like a ledger is much preferable to some like fancy newfangled thing that, you know, has a touch screen or whatever. And I think the same thing is kind of true for ETFs, is that like, I think it's pretty safe if like a company has a ledger that's just like an Excel sheet. Like, I'm actually not worried at all about that getting stolen. But if I have, you're shaking your head.
Haseeb, we'll do a whole episode on this later.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
All right, let's
this
do
is
it.
like-
This is the episode. Let's go.
I feel like the whole stock issuance process compared to like calling the mint function and like knowing where it's going is ridiculous, right? Like, it's not even comparable.
Look, I think there's trade-offs. But like, I think it's very clearly true that I never worry that my portfolio company, like that, my stock in my portfolio company will get stolen. Literally never worry about it. I've never worried about it once in my life.
But is that because you're confident in the IT practices of these companies and the probability that data is exfiltrated or it's hacked or data is changed? Or do you feel confident in it because you know that if there is a problem, that it's reversible and that any 0 is easily turned into a 1 and that any court can fix a problem when it occurs?
Yeah, totally. Granted. Yes, that's why.
I mean, that's really what you're getting, because like they get hacked all the time. Like,
yeah, totally. But like, if my shares ever disappear, like it's basically a blockchain, right? Where like we have our own idea of what we own. They have an Excel sheet. They have to match. If they don't, there's like a.
I do think it's just funny
process.
to hear a crypto investor be like, I don't want to hold my assets.
Look, okay. Tarun, would you move your ETFs to Coinbase?
Yes, sure.
You would
Why
do it?
not? Yeah,
Straight away. Tom?
Yeah, if they gave me better fees,
No,
I'm not
they're
paying
not
the
giving you better
fucking
fees.
2%.
They're not
I'm not
giving you
paying.
better fees. They're
I'm
not
not
giving you
paying
better fees. I'm not talking about
2% to
better
trade
fees.
an ETF. You know what I mean?
I'm not talking about better fees. Now, yeah, if there's better fees, then that's a totally different story. But that's a different reason why you're doing it.
I think Robinhood is the counterpoint here, though, right? Which is like, this is the way the youngs have come into investing,
yes,
and
totally.
crypto's such a huge point of it. And I think that's maybe the bigger thing here. Is
I think it's very likely for young people that like they grew up on Coinbase, they will totally buy their ETFs on Coinbase. The question is, will you move your ETFs to Coinbase if they start offering ETFs?
I guess I have no reason to. You know, it's like I already have a brokerage. I think part of it is just young people are going to be the ones buying crypto. So it's like, even if these other brokerages also offer crypto, I just don't think they're going to be successful. It's like sort of a very much kind of backwards way of actually. You're thinking about it, it's like people get locked into their behaviors when they're 25 and they're not going to change. And so if you're used to banking through a neobank, that's just where you're going to keep everything, and you're not going to go and transition to Fidelity just because you're like, oh, I'm old now, I should use like an old person's product. Like, those businesses just die over time.
Okay, let me articulate a clearer explanation, is that if you hack into my Vanguard account, there's very little you can do. Like, you actually just can't do that much.
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of scams that are similar to like the way it works in crypto exchanges, where like they could dump your entire account into some random ass penny stock, right? And bid up some penny stock from 1 cent to $2, and then through all these different other accounts, they're selling it at this price. There's ways to like totally rug a TradFi account, and they do happen in financial markets all of the time. In the same way that it's one of the ways that people like exfiltrate the profits of an exchange without sending it to themselves in crypto. So like there are ways where you can lose your money in a brokerage account today, right?
Do you remember? Do you remember when like the Bangladeshi
way
central?
higher in crypto?
Do you know when the
Base rate is
Bangladeshi
way higher in crypto?
You remember when the Bangladeshi central bank like almost lost $1 billion because someone called the Fed? Like these custodians are that's true. They did but I don't think they lost a full billion. I think they lost like 600, but they lost a lot.
Yeah. Do you remember when someone fat fingered like a bond payment from Revlon or some company for $900 million? I mean, like,
Citi had to pay a huge fine for that.
Yeah, like,
dude, Haseeb, I think it's fucking crazy when you put your ETFs in a crypto exchange. As a crypto investor, you know, like
you think it's crazy that I wouldn't do that?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
I think you guys are not paranoid enough about crypto exchanges. I think crypto exchanges are like some of the biggest honeypots in the world. I used to work in anti-fraud, right? I know, like, and you know, you see all this stuff coming out about like just the rate at which people on crypto exchanges are getting fucked all the time. Like, I think the answer is that you want to keep as little of value on crypto exchanges all the time because they are such massive honeypots. Like, they are extremely.
But this goes back to your point, Haseeb, from earlier. The reason why they are targeted exponentially more is because today crypto exchanges handle assets that are irreversible. They handle crypto tokens like USDC and Bitcoin and Ether that once it's gone out, you cannot get it back with a court order. You cannot get it back with all the safeguards of traditional markets. The other assets going into the crypto exchange do benefit from those protections. The stocks that you're so comfortable owning because of these incredible legal protections.
Again, it depends on how it works. Okay. If you can take my ETFs, log into my account, sell all the ETFs, and then transfer into Bitcoin and then withdraw to an account, then yeah, I would not want that at all. You can't do that right now in my Vanguard, right? On my Vanguard, all you can do is like withdraw cash
in the world where everything becomes the everything app. You can always do that.
Okay, that may be true. Maybe
that's like that's the future we are careening towards. So you might as well go to the people who learn how to build security practices the longest. Then like Fidelity getting hacked by North Korea 5 million times, and then suddenly, finally they hire like build in different processes because they weren't used to it. They weren't used to this attack vector.
Fine. I just don't think this is something that you should be dogmatic about. I think this is like intensely practical, which is just the 101 of security.
I think it's just more like if I'm a crypto founder, and I'm like, I'm trying to make this thing so that like everyone who's 21, who's like never going to buy an ETF anywhere near someone who has an E in their name or like has a name like Fidelity. Like, no offense, I know I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm just any of these like E-Trade, Fidelity, whatever, right? Like no one young was ever going to go to one of those apps. And like I'm trying to pitch a VC. And like they're like, no, like your product's amazing, it's great. All these 19-year-olds use it. I'll never use it. That's not that to me is like crazy. That's all.
I think if you create a totally different like walled garden within Coinbase where like all of the traditional assets live and they cannot be like all you can do is the same thing you could do in something like Fidelity where you can just take the assets in, take them out. They cannot cross the blood-brain barrier between the crypto side and the traditional asset side. Then I would be comfortable with using it. But if it's literally all just like commingle, it's all just a big fucking pile of assets, and you can just sell one, buy the other, and then go withdraw in crypto.
You're not ready for the everything app future though, because like the regulatory stuff is making every exchange become like this.
Like
now.
I like imagine CME as Spot and is not an everything app, right?
Yeah,
like that makes CME it more secure for what I use it for.
Imagine a CME as Spot.
Are you going to stop using the CME?
Yeah, exactly.
Your
argument naturally leads you to this conclusion.
I don't think that has anything to do with the CME and spot. Why would that affect the CME?
Because now I can withdraw. I can sell on CME and withdraw to Bitcoin address.
Sure. Okay, if you can withdraw Bitcoin, fair. I could see it potentially. Yeah, I mean, I can see why. I think it would because like yes, if you can like, how do you fence? Like, look, I'll tell you. Having worked in anti-fraud, okay, one of the biggest questions you always ask is what is the cost of fencing a stolen account? Right? Meaning like, what is the rate at which you can monetize? If you have an account worth 100K, how much can you actually get that out for? If you're a Chinese hacker, a Russian hacker, what's the take rate? The answer could be 20%, 30%, 50%. It depends on a lot of details, right? If you can withdraw crypto, then it's like 70, 80% that you can monetize this for cash, which means your incentive to hack this account goes way, way up. Everybody in the right mind knows this. That's why I'm saying it's like, there's an obvious reason why you want your account to be dumber if you can afford it. You want to have less degrees of freedom if a hacker is going to attack you. Now for Coinbase, like, look, if you're custodying crypto, then you have no choice. It has to be in that security model. But I think that's the reason why I would not expect many people to move their ETFs over into something like Coinbase. The same reason, like, I don't think a lot of people move their ETFs over into Robinhood if like I have a Robinhood account. I don't move all my ETFs into there, even though I'm sure it's probably not expensive to do so. Like, you want to have as many different segregated accounts as you possibly can in case something goes wrong.
To farm Fidelity airdrop.
One day we'll have a system with the safeguards that Haseeb likes, and the awesome high-tech programmable stuff that Tarun likes, and it'll be.
Look, I'm as raw crypto as you guys, but I'm just saying, if I think this, there's like millions of other people who think this and maybe can't articulate why they intuitively feel that. So if there's some way to address them, then maybe there is a path that people could start moving their ETFs into a Coinbase or Robinhood and really make it into that everything app. But until then, I think I'm the voice of the people on this one.
All right.
So,
well,
anyway.
I guess with that.
On that note, we got to turn off this crypto podcast and go.
All right. Let's post
the
this on
chopping
Zora,
boomers have reared their
this.
head again. The chopping boomers.
That's right. All right. I feel very attacked on this one, so we'll see what the people think. I want to hear what people think on this because I don't think I'm alone, but maybe I am. All right. That's it for this week. Thanks, everybody. See you all next time.